G'day everybody, Big V podcast here. We are with our championship women talking offensive and defensive ratings per game. Now we're going to go down the list. We're going to talk about a few teams specifically, some that are standing out. Now there is one that's on top of the table, and it is very clear and cut as to why when you look at these two numbers on both sides of the floor. There's a serious reason as to why they are the contending team to probably go back-to-back or possibly go back-to-back this season. It is Wyndham.
Yeah, they're red hot favourites, aren't they, Ted? Clearly the best offensive team and just a really, really nice team to watch. The way they play, they move the ball, they penetrate and pitch, they get open shots, and then they work twice as hard on the defensive end. And they're 10.5 points better than any other team per game this season. So than the next best, I should say, which then leads them to be 30 points better than the worst team. So when you start talking those numbers, there's a pretty big discrepancy and clearly shows why they're undefeated so far.
Absolutely. Now, Sherbrooke, who are sitting third, have the second best rating of 81.2 points per game, struggling on the defensive end. They're sitting fifth out of the 8 defensively. So struggling to sort of keep teams under that 70-point margin, but they are obviously scoring on the other end. So do they need to make that adjustment defensively, work on that end of the floor to keep themselves in this finals race?
Well, yeah, I think they do. If they want to be competing with and challenging the likes of Bulleen and Wyndham, who are the grand final teams from last year, they're going to need to tidy up the defensive end against them. They know they can get it going offensively. They've got Poole, they've got Carline, and they've got now Tanea Soalo. Yeah, but whether they can do that on the defensive end against the Wyndhams, against the Bulleens, to ensure they stay at the top there, will be very interesting.
Absolutely. Now, a team that's sitting fourth is McKinnon, a team that has been there, sort of there and about for quite a while, constantly in this finals picture, but cannot make that jump into that grand final series. But they're sitting sixth offensive rating with 66.3 points per game. Now, obviously, that does go towards Suckling and Gray, but when you look at this sort of statistics here, there isn't a lot else that's happening for the rest of that team. They sort of tend to be the two clear-cut scorers for this unit.
Yeah, every week it's Suckling and Gray doing their thing, and it's, the games they've won are actually when they've had somebody else step up. Morgan Riley, Eloise Leonard, Cassie Hills had a big game in there as well. So if they can try and get a little bit more consistency from that third and fourth best scorer, I think they're going to be putting themselves in a pretty good position. Particularly after they had a slow start to the year and have started sort of getting things rolling a little bit now.
Yeah, absolutely. And after looking at a few of these games, there's no doubt that Morgan Riley can push her numbers up to over 10 points per game. She can shoot very, very well from beyond the arc, averaging 31% from the land of plenty. So there's no doubt that her numbers can bump up. Maybe it's a bit of inconsistency. Maybe they're just struggling to find her a little bit more. But, something they can definitely work on in the second half of the season.
Yeah, for sure. Certainly. And then you get down to the lower end of the offensive outputs, and you've got one which stands out down the lower end. You've got Pakenham sitting in 7th position on the ladder, but they're actually the 5th best offensive team, and it's probably the reason as to why they started to string some games together, winning 3 fairly recently to break what was previously a donut. But Nickerson, you know what she's going to do. She can shoot the ball. She gets on the rim. She's averaging almost 22 points a game, and she's sort of keeping them and their scoreboard ticking over, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. And they're not doing awfully bad defensively either, sitting at 4th. So that, there is room for them to move up this ladder. They are tied with Camberwell, so we might sort of see them jump up and move up the ladder as this season goes on.
Yeah, certainly a team for us to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Moving to defensively now, we've touched on Wyndham, and we'll move on quite quickly because we can talk about them all day long. Bulleen is sitting 2nd defensively, so they are doing a very good job, that finals contention team again. We'll talk about Hume, who are sitting 7th defensively rated. They are 5th on the ladder here, something they probably need to address.
Yeah, I think they've had a roller coaster of a start to the year. One week they're looking pretty strong, the next week you're wondering where they are and what they're doing, but I really think they have potential to be a top 4 team and push that McKinnon, that Sherbrooke sort of positioning. It's just defensively they need to find some consistencies. And, it would be nice if they got a bit of consistency of the players they had on the floor as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They got Emma Pov, who is averaging 11 points per game, the MVP of VYC from last year. Someone who probably, is a little bit inexperienced in this league, so that might come to be a part of it.
Yeah, and she's been missing the last couple of weeks, so you hope it's not a serious injury or anything, and we hope to see her on the floor as soon as possible to help her Hume team continue their march up the ladder.
Absolutely. We'll touch on Camberwell, who is sitting in a fair sixth spot. They are eighth currently rated defensively, something that is a big issue for them at the moment.
Yeah, and after starting pretty strong in a new division for them, it's been a sharp and a rude awakening the last couple of weeks, blowing some 20-point leads against McKinnon and Sunbury to then lose. So, they can do it for a half. They can play defense for a half. It's just, it doesn't seem to translate into the second half, unfortunately, for the Dragons girls. But hopefully they can work on that in weeks to come.
Absolutely. That'll be all for us, guys. We'll catch you all soon. Catch you later.